Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome to a very special topic of discussion. Today's topic, Arrested Development. More specifically, the Season 4 of Arrested Development. There's a lot of things to talk about here, and I'm going to be keeping it all spoiler-free, don't worry. If there is anything that I want to talk about that is spoilery, I will mention spoiler before. Let's talk about the miracle that is this season. Before we talk about the content in the season, let's talk a little bit about what this is and why this is so important for the industry as a whole, ignoring the fact that it's Arrested Development. This is a show that was brought back, let's see, it ended in, 2006? It brought back like some 7 years after the show ended, with the entire cast. And not just the entire main cast, but a ton of supporting cast. But it was brought back with the same people behind it. And not only was it brought back, but it was brought back for Netflix, for television exclusively. Or not television, for exclusively not television, exclusively for Netflix, an internet-based company. And all of the episodes were released at once. There's so much in there that's so weird and unusual. I mean, we are living in a time where these reboots are very, not even reboots, just continuation of series are very, I don't want to say common, but are happening more and more. And, I mean, it ranges from everything like Teen Titans Go, where you're bringing back some of what we're used to, but putting a very heavy spin on it, to things like Shaolin Chronicles, which is going to be a new Shaolin Showdown series, although slightly different. You know, we're seeing a lot of this, and you know, we've seen things like Futurama get picked up like 3 more times. We've seen, you know, Family Guy get renewed once or twice, you know. We're seeing this more and more. It's becoming more and more of a viable option as people run out of ideas, and as companies realize through what I think is social media, you know, people tweeting, people not texting, but, you know, Facebooks, and your Tumblrs, and, you know, emails to the producers, and, you know, petitions and stuff like that. Through this, we are living this wonderful time where we can show that we have the support, we have the fan base necessary to bring a show back. So that in itself is amazing, that we can bring shows back. But I don't think there is another example of a show that has come back exclusively online. Yeah, there's the Critic. There's, you know, some shows that have, like, you know, mini YouTube series about them, or, you know, little continuation comics online or something. But this is a fully budgeted, fully produced, fully cast, fully fleshed out season of a television show, not airing on television. You know, the only other, I mean, I guess there's examples of DVDs being released, box sets being released before the episodes aired. We're looking at you, SpongeBob Season 4. But never, I mean, this is just so interesting of a model. And I'm so glad that Arrested Development, of all shows, is going to be the test of this, because it's a test of seeing what this can do. And I mean, I was there at 3 a.m. my time, midnight, West Coast, to watch when it first came out. In the span of 21 hours, I watched all 14 episodes. I'm recording this right after watching it, and it's really cool that we live in an age that this happens. And yeah, okay, that's my little piece on that. Also, the model of releasing all the episodes at once. I gotta say, I kind of disagree with this one, to be completely honest. Now, for Arrested Development, I totally agree with. For this show specifically, you want to release all the episodes at once, because this is the kind of show where the jokes, the plot points, you know, all the little hidden details and references and ostriches, we'll get to that. You want to see that back to back. You know, maybe not the entire season in one day, but, you know, you definitely want to watch at least a few episodes, you know, all at once in a large chunk. So for this show, that business model definitely works. However, I would kind of maybe like to see if they were to do another one a few, like, you know, maybe 2 episodes at once, you know, maybe every other week, or do some weird schedule. Because you do miss out on a few things like social media. You know, I wanted to tweet about, you know, like, all the cool things that were happening, but at the same time, I didn't want to spoil it for anyone because it's on Netflix. You know, it doesn't have an airing time. I mean, I guess aside from, like, every increment of, you know, 33 minutes after it originally launched passed per episode is the initial, you know, launch time. But again, not everyone's as crazy as I am. I didn't watch it straight through. Again, I watched half of it, went to bed, you know, did other things, got lunch, you know, and then I came back to it, and then I watched the other half of the season straight through. But I think for this show specifically it works. But hey, you know what? Honestly, for all shows, it could work too. I'm just nitpicking here. I'm just, you know, you do miss out on some things, but at the same time, today was such an amazing day, such a crazy experience to watch. Let's see, each episode was at least 30 minutes. I saw most of them were like 33 to 35. So, say 30 minutes times 14. I mean, that's was it 7 hours, something like? You know, 7+ hours straight of new content of this amazing show. Was incredible, was really fun for a TV junkie like me. I mean, it's just the weirdest thing that it's television minus television, although I guess with, you know, your Wiis and your Wii U's and your Xboxes and all this stuff, you can watch it on TV like I did. Alright, now let's talk about this season. Holy crap, was this season really good. I mentioned stuff about how reboots, I keep using reboots, revivals is the word I mean to say. You know, revivals of shows have been more and more prevalent, you know, with fan bases and stuff, but I have never seen a show come back and be as good or better than it was. I've seen it be decent, you know, not necessarily horrible, but, hey, SpongeBob. Look at SpongeBob. When it came back, it was definitely not as good. You know, Family Guy. People are saying that the newer Family Guys aren't that good. You know, like, however, they knocked it out of the park. This might be the best season of Arrested Development, you know? Things that they did absolutely amazingly right. Here's the basic pitch. This is a bare bones of what is going on. Again, not spoiling anything, just very bare bones. Each episode is starring a different member of the Bluth family, with several members getting like 2-parters or 3-parters. I don't know if there's 3-parters actually. I think it's 2, maybe 3. I don't know. But anyway, each family member kind of stars in an episode, and it tells the story of from the moment after we see them in the season 3 finale, you know, to a few months after, to a few years after, to what they're doing present day. Each one tells the story from start to finish, and again, it might be over a few parts, but each one begins at a point and ends at a point. Or, you know, it teases somewhere in the middle, too. But it all ends at the, you know, this big Cinco de Cuatro thing. Big party. But, like, so what they do throughout the season is they're telling you a story from start to finish every time, but, you know, you see Lindsay's story, and then, you know, Tobias is in there, and then you see Tobias' story, and you see a little bit more of Lindsay's story through Tobias' story, you know, and you know, Tobias' story parts in Lindsay's story bits. You know, you see teased things like, you know, oh, this is out of context, you know, I want to watch the next episode, what's going to happen? You know, what does this actually mean? Or, you know, so they'll tease things in one episode, and then we'll see more of a full conversation in the next. There's things like, there's several key scenes that we keep going back to, as we see each member of the family progress. And I mean, the way they tell the story, insane. Insanely cool. And here's what they did right about Season 4 of Arrested Development. It's more of the same, but it's also not at all anything like you've seen from Arrested Development. They're past the housing stuff. Like, I mean, there's a little bit of it, but this is like an entirely new story. You know, I mean, of course it builds on everything, but it takes the characters to new places. It lets them meet new characters. It makes them do new things. We're not seeing the same old, jail comedy, the same old, the boardroom comedy. We're seeing them in completely new situations. But at the same time, everything you loved about Arrested Development is there. You want crazy side characters? Oh, you got them. You got, I would say at least 2/3 to 3/4 of any of the side characters in the first 3 seasons make at least a, return appearance. There's a few newer ones. It's 2 of them that are played, and of course they're played by, famous actors, or not so famous famous actors in the shows that I like to watch, at least. You see 2 characters from The Office. You see, I'm blanking off the top of my head, but you see a lot of these, these celebrity roles that Arrested Development does so well. You want running gags? They got running gags. They will continue any running gag that they had in the original series and incite a few new ones. Ostriches. You want references to earlier episodes? Oh, you got so many references. Everything from a slight nod, to, like George Michael imitating Michael leaning back in his chair from the one episode, to, full-blown, whole plot references. I mean, there is so much there. And I'm not gonna lie, there's not everything. There's, I kind of wish Job's puppet was in there somewhere. Maybe he even is. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I watched the show, this is less than, 20 minutes less than I just finished watching it. I'm going to go back and rewatch it over the coming weeks. And when I do, I'm going to actually pause it and focus in on things. This was just me watching straight through. I didn't pause it, I didn't rewind. Did I catch this bit? I saw there was some... Oh, of course, there was a ton of freeze-frame gags, especially knowing that they can do this with the Netflix thing. There's even a few meta gags in there. Just so much. And the way they tell the story, so not only is there this weird time element that in each story we're basically resetting the clock. It's like Majora's Mask, in that, every day, every new episode, we wind back the clock and see things from the first, right after the Bluths get in trouble for stealing the Queen Mary. And then we always end up at the same party, at the same Cinco de Cuatro, which is 5th of the 4th. It'll make more sense when you watch it. No, it won't. But yeah, no. And the writing is just so solid. I mean, there are minor nitpicks. There are minor things that I disagree with, minor choices. But, I mean, on the whole, it is a solid story. And every character does something. Every character goes through an arc, I'm not going to say they grow as people. Actually, I'm going to say they grow as people. Just a tiny bit. They're the Bluths. They're not changing. However, they all go through arcs, and they all wind up a little bit different. George Sr. ends up quite a bit different. But yeah, no, so that's interesting. It's such a good way to tell a story, man. I really want there to be another... I know they're all pushing for the movie. They're all pushing for an Arrested Development movie. And I would love that. I really would. But I kind of want another season of this. I want another, I want 6 seasons in a movie. That's what I want out of you, Arrested Development. Alright, so that's about all the vague compliments I can make. So now for some things that are not spoilery at all. Well, maybe a teeny bit. But they're just going to be some out-of-context things that those of you who have seen the show will know what I'm talking about. And those of you who haven't seen the show will, these are little things to tease, So ostriches, look out for ostriches. I'm sure they symbolize something. Maybe burying your head in the sand. Maybe... Dude, I don't even know. I'm sure there's some symbolism. But there's a lot of ostriches. A lot of ostrich symbolism in Arrested Development Season 4. Let's see. Job's plot. I wasn't crazy about the first half. I'm gonna be honest. It features a character who I really did not like, and I didn't like where they took that character, especially. You'll know who I'm talking about. However, the second half of Job's plot, oh my god, yes, that was the funniest episode, hands down. Man, just like nailed it, and that features a character who is awesome, and I was so happy to see that he came back and played by an awesome actor, and just a wonderful plot indeed. See what it did there. Let's see, what else? It was just, and man, I didn't even mention, because of the whole weird time thing that they did, there's pieces of other people's stories that are told in bits and pieces. I can't quite, I'm gonna have to watch it again and specifically pay attention to these parts, but there's a few characters that come back in a big way. Their lawyer, Barry Zuckerkorn, Lucille Austero, you know, some of these very, very important side characters who are in a lot of episodes are usually doing something arc-related. Barry's is just, this comedic thing, but Lucille's kind of, like, there's a lot of interesting things you really have to pay attention. Again, I know I missed so many things that I'm going to watch, and I'm going to be like, that's just there. I mean, it's just so solid. I don't have really much bad to say about it. Here's one, I don't even know if it's a criticism, just an observation. Let's call it that. Michael. What was up with Michael? Michael Bluth, the main character in the first 3 seasons, his role gets very diminished. I found that his plotline was kind of the most boring of the bunch. Not that it was bad or anything. I mean, it was interesting, but I don't think it was as interesting or as, pull you into the story as any of the other characters. All of the other characters, all of them had really interesting plots and went to really bizarre places. Michael's, I don't know. I felt like there was kind of maybe something missing with that, although maybe that's just kind of, we're only used to seeing him as a main character, so seeing him in this more side role is just different. But also, I mean, they also play up the fact that Michael is definitely a Bluth. He is definitely a Bluth with all his Bluth flaws. And we definitely see that all the Bluths, they embrace their Bluthiness in this. What else? Something else interesting. And here's something I want to say to the people who haven't seen it yet, or are partway through. Stick with it. The first few episodes, I'm not going to call them boring or anything, but there's a lot of setup, and they got a lot of, like, the characters that have two-parters, they get a lot of their part ones out of the way towards the beginning. Makes sense, right? However, and things like, in like the first half of the season, the family doesn't cross paths as much. They do cross paths, and especially, even in small ways that you may not have noticed. But towards the end of the season, towards the second half, I mean, the family just really, crisscrosses, 6 Ways to Sunday, that classic, Seinfeldian, plot character tie-in thing that Arrested Development can do so well. Where one character affects the other character, so, it's interesting, and that's kind of the way it works as a season, is that it starts off with the Bluths in, all these different directions, and then it ends, not necessarily with them coming together, but, physically speaking, they cross more towards the end, and, they all end up at the same party. These people in parties. Oh, another comment. Man, the Bluths and the Asian community, they cannot get along. Pay attention for that. Anyang not included. This season, there's a lot of Asian characters, and the Bluths just can't seem to get much luck with them, man. Like, anytime they run across... Then again, I suppose no one really likes the Bluths. I do, and I think America does. But yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say. It is worth the Netflix subscription, honestly. I think Netflix is worth it regardless of Arrested Development. And especially because there's no commercials. Yeah, you wouldn't. Hulu Plus, you get commercials. No commercials on Netflix. Just throwing that out there, which makes this experience even more awesome. I don't know how long Netflix will be able to keep that up. I bet you at some point they're gonna put ads, and it'll suck, but it'll kind of be understandable. So yeah, that is about it. There was something else I wanted to say, but it is not coming to me. As I stare off my screen, it's just got the Arrested Development thing on the TV. Oh, I guess, I hope Netflix does this more. Honestly, I think the next candidate would probably be Firefly. I don't know much about Firefly, but I do know that it's got quite the following, and Netflix, even if this earns you no money and just earns you, approval, maybe like someone deciding to pick, Netflix over Hulu Plus because it has Arrested Development, it's just good business move, really good business move. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Even if you just, if you really love Arrested Development, even if you're not crazy about the Netflix thing, dude, subscribe to Netflix for like a month or two just to watch this. Like, it is worth it. It's only like, what, $8 a month or something? It is genuinely worth it, and if it were to come out on Blu-ray or DVD, as it probably will, I would definitely go for it. Hey, something else I'd like to see happen. I'd love to see Community get canceled. Only so Netflix can bring it back with Dan Harmon. Okay, at this point I'm rambling. Oh, another side note, the narrator's in this. Like, he's actually in this. Like, he's there. You'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy Arrested Development. If you haven't given the show a chance, obviously start from episode 1. My advice to anyone who's never seen Arrested Development, again, be patient. The show takes a little bit of build-up, but once it's got those running gags, those running motifs, once it's hit its point, I've been rewatching the show a number of times actually recently with different people to introduce them to it, and I've noticed that it picks up about, season 1, great stuff, but once you know the characters from the first season, going into the second season, you're blown, your mind is blown from what they do, where they take the characters, how they make the jokes, and of course it goes on with the third season, and as I said, the fourth season is my favorite season, and I would argue would be the best season. But again, I'm rambling. So, with that, I hope to see more from Arrested Development in the future. I think it's amazing that all these actors actually got back together for this, and the writers. I don't know if they got all the writers or anything, but I know they must have gotten some of the same ones at least. So with that, Pieguyrulz, out.